Hi, Mike Kennedy here. With my latest yard sale find, I got this Victorinox Trekker Swiss Army knife at a yard sale for $5. The guy said he never used it, and it really looks like he never did use it. Uh, he didn't like the idea that there was plastic on the handle, he said. But, all Swiss Army knives until recently had that type of material, had plastic or something else. Now you can get some with metal scales or get metal scales made for them by someone else, but it's fairly expensive. Uh, so Trekker, the idea of this knife is uh, this would have you would have with you, say you're a through hiker or something, uh, you know, you're going on a little journey, so you bring this knife with you. Uh, Obviously, it's smaller than some of the larger knives you would have, larger than survival knives or whatever, but I think this is made more for uh, a planned adventure. Now this has one-handed opening. That's what this, you put your thumb in here, and if you don't have arthritis like me, you can open it fairly easily. Now it is interesting because you notice this right off, and everybody mentions it in their videos, is it's liner lock. So you press it, the liner in, and it doesn't close. Well, for some reason, the liner lock on this is the opposite of everyone else's, and you have to like turn the knife over if you're going to push away from you, and then it will close. Which is funny though. It facilitates left-handed people, at least to me. But that's no real big deal anyway. But uh, what is interesting about this blade is that it's a serrated blade. They made this originally in non-serrated, and evidently they kept the serrated and not the other one. Must not have sold as well. But unlike many survival type knives or bushcraft knives, rather or emergency use knives, rather than having the serrations at the beginning of the knife then go to straight, this has a straight section and then it goes to serrations. And that allows you an area for finer whittling, cutting, feather sticking, whatever, making notches. So it's kind of a novel idea. And two, if you look closely on this, you can see that, you know, serrations, but if we turn the right knife around, I mean, you can see this, but you see there's no bevel on this side at all. And I thought that's odd, but then I checked my Leatherman Wave, and it's exactly the same. Serrations on one side, flat on the other. And I was thinking about that, and I think that's done to increase strength of the knife. In other words, uh, there's more metal on these serrations. If it was serrated on both sides, you'd have all of these little points sticking up, and I think they could get damaged more easily. I know when one of Bear Grylls survival knives came out and it had that serration at the beginning, people would take it out and pummel it and beat on it, cutting firewood with it basically, and then they'd look at it afterwards and said, "Oh, these serrations didn't hold up." It's like, yeah, you're not supposed to baton with a serrated knife. Many people say you're not supposed to baton knives at all. In some countries, they would laugh at you for doing that. But anyway, uh, these things are really sharp. Any of the general things you normally would want to do with a straight edge, this is probably going to do just as well. Now, what this has too, which is really nice, again, you're camping, you're doing something, this has a knife. It has a very decently long knife too as well. It's interesting, it has a little bit of a dip in it here, but these knives are really sharp. Now, one thing it doesn't have is that doesn't lock. Just the knife and the screwdriver lock. So you're gonna have to be careful using this, that you don't use it in a situation where it can fold back on your hand. That's true with a lot of knives. You just have to use some common sense and continue to use it. I don't know how many people I've seen, especially on a loan and everything, they'll say, I shouldn't be doing this, but, and then an accident happens. It's kind of like, yeah, you shouldn't have been. So we've got the screwdriver bottle opener. It has an indent at 90 degrees, so you have more torque, but then it actually locks in the outer position here. And again, extremely steady locks. Some people mentioned with this knife they would have rather had this lock than the screwdriver bottle opener, and I can see their point. This also, you press and it can be put back in. We've got the combination tool here, we've got the can opener, and there's a little end on here that will fit smaller flatheads, and some people said Phillips you can do with that as well. But this does have on the other side, rather than a corkscrew, it's got the Phillips screw. And again, you can get quite a bit of torque on this, so that's good. Also, it has a reamer, a very sharp point, so you can use this. You're gonna have to be careful that if you use it in this configuration, this can fold back on you. So you probably don't want to do that. It's interesting. It's a reamer because it doesn't have the hole in it. If this had a hole, it would be called an awl. And it's funny because a lot of the Swiss Army knives will have an awl, or they'll have this reamer. And to me, I don't understand why you wouldn't just make them all more awls. Maybe this is a reamer, not having that hole through it makes it a stronger piece of metal. We have the traditional, we've got the toothpick, and we've got the tweezers. And we've got a little lanyard hole here too. But I like this as far as it really fits your hand really well, and really has a really good lock on it. So I could see carrying this. When you look at this, it's incredibly lighter than a Leatherman Wave Plus. Of course, it doesn't have as many tools and things don't lock, but I think for a lot of people, this might be the ideal knife for them to put in their pack, in a survival kit or whatever. And it's nice that it's stainless steel. So, I mean, stainless steel will corrode, but it takes a much longer time. So, especially if you have a kit that you're in a pack away, say you make one up and it's in the car, or it's in this bag that you take with you when you're hiking or whatever, you could just have one of these in here. And like I say, with the weight conscious, this is 4.5 ounces, but it can do some decent work with it. Now, I looked up pricing for it. I mentioned I got this at a yard sale for only $5. The guy said he never used it, and I believe he never did. I've seen them used on eBay for around $40. I believe the actual list price of this is around $65, but it seems I've seen them being sold from $60 to $83 about. Now, some of those have shipping, some don't, so you got to watch and see. But I think this is a really neat knife, and it could do a lot for you in a emergency or non-emergency situation. Tell me what you think. Bye.